Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for November 28, 2023, the Hung Out to Dry edition. We begin with that story from Bloomberg. 2 British citizens on trial for alleged bribing of Saudi Arabian officials have been hung out to dry by the UK government, who they said knew and consented to the corrupt payments to win defense contracts. The 2 contractors paid as much as £9.7 million, or about $12 billion, to bosses of the Saudi Arabian National Guard between 2007 and 2012. Their lawyer says there are no disputes the payments were made, but that the government, UK government, approved the payments. Hope they've got that in writing. Next up from the Financial Times, Tesla really doesn't want unions, its workforce unionized in Sweden, has now sued the Swedish state in an effort to circumvent a union action where the Postal Service will not deliver Tesla or registration plates for new vehicles because postal workers have blocked them in sympathy with striking Tesla workshop mechanics. So Tesla's anti-union push still continues, but now they've run into a Swedish workforce that's obviously heavily unionized and wants to support their fellow brothers and sisters in unions. Next up from Reuters, CZ, the head of Binance, who agreed to a $4+ billion fine last week, now wants to leave the U.S. before his sentencing. Obviously, this is incredibly problematic as he's a citizen of the UAE, which does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. The U.S. got him somehow to voluntarily come to the United States to announce the settlement and plead guilty, but he hasn't been sentenced yet. And I think that's scheduled for February. He faces up to 18 months in prison, although some commentators have said that he may face multiple years in prison if the Department of Justice gets its way. So you think he should be released to go to a country that doesn't have an extradition treaty? We'll see. And our final story comes to us today from The Guardian, which reports that palm oil is fueling corruption in Honduras. There are, because of the high demand for palm oil, it's become a corruption-driven industry in Honduras.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.